What is up, guys? In today's video, we'll be talking about a massive cold blast that is going to encompass much of the U.S. and a few snowstorms that could also hit the U.S. So let's get right into today's video. Alright, the first thing we are going to talk about here is this little Alberta Clipper system that is currently rolling through that is going to dump some hefty snowfall amounts in portions of Iowa, Illinois, into Indiana and Michigan regions here. It's already occurring currently across Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota regions, but will eventually migrate to Des Moines regions around 3 p.m. today, so it's already kind of impacting those areas right now, actually, and we'll move further into Illinois by the midnight hours. It's not a super fast moving system, but it's definitely moving pretty quickly, and will impact portions of Chicago regions here starting at 11 p.m. tonight and rolling through the area, dumping some snow. Then we'll finally taper off around 10 a.m. around 9 a.m. on Sunday up across much of Chicago regions, and then could dump some isolated snow across Detroit here during the morning hours on Sunday that could definitely cause some travel impacts to much of these regions here. Now, the snow totals from this system are not going to be anything too crazy as is typical from an Alberta Clipper system, but there definitely could be still some hefty snowfall amounts, especially near Des Moines, Iowa, where I could expect 3 to 5 inches of snow potentially. For portions of the Chicago, Illinois regions, probably about 2 to 4 inches of snow, potentially up to 5 inches of snow in some spots there for Chicago, Illinois, but there's going to be a really big cutoff there, so Des Moines may get less or more snow, it really depends, but there could be a really big and hefty snow band that will occur across portions of central to northern Iowa, maybe just a little bit to the north of Des Moines, where some spots could get 5 to 7, maybe 5 to 8 inches of snow within that snow band that does occur. So whoever gets that snow band will definitely be pretty happy, and it could impact portions of the areas like the Quad Cities. If we take a look at the National Weather Service NDFD, it's a little bit further north, but it has Chicago at seeing around 3.5 inches of snow, which is pretty accurate to what I think could occur. We could see a good 3 to 4, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow for Des Moines, Iowa regions, and then areas to the north across northern Iowa and then into the Quad Cities could potentially see that snow band that does occur with 5 to 7 inches of snow potentially with this system. After this Clipper system rolls through parts of the region, a new Clipper system is actually going to form here across North Dakota on Tuesday and into the afternoon hours that could dump some snowfall potentially towards these twin cities of Minneapolis regions and St. Paul in Minnesota, where we could see some snow start to develop here on Tuesday at 3 p.m. hours, and then is really going to expand into a big snow system across portions of Wisconsin on Tuesday night that could definitely cause some hazardous travel conditions, and then will eventually migrate towards portions of Michigan areas. It's a little bit too early to tell what the exact snowfall totals could be from the system, but the National One of Miles is definitely pretty certain that we could see a wide swath of potentially 4 to 6 inches of snow, maybe more across portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan regions. They already get a lot of snow there, but this definitely could be some pretty enjoyable snow totals, and even the GFS model is showing a really wild amount of snow with this system, so really we'll have to see what happens. This won't impact a lot of regions. It's a pretty small storm system. That's what happened with Clippers, but it could definitely impact portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan regions, and maybe into the Northeast in the future, but we'll get more information on that in the future. Now, for the temperatures across the U.S., it's going to get absolutely really cold across a lot of the U.S. here. We're going to see some it's going to be a sharp gradient, really above average temperatures across the western U.S. and California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, New Mexico regions, where it's going to be a lot above average and warm, and then way below average cold temperatures in the eastern and midwestern part of the U.S., where we're seeing frigid temperatures in New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Missouri, Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky. All those areas are going to be absolutely frigid here in the next few weeks or so, and it's not going to end. The 14-day outlook continues this area of cold air, and I do think that could even expand at even more. If we take a look at the models, the first model we're going to look at is the GFS model, and it's showing constant Arctic air after Arctic air. The first one is going to roll through here on Monday with some really cold weather across much of the central and eastern U.S. We could see a slight warm-up occur on Wednesday on Tuesday and Wednesday. So on Tuesday and Wednesday, we might actually see some more mild fall-like weather across parts of the central and eastern U.S., but that is only going to last like one day, as right when we get to Thursday, more cold, frigid air is going to come through. And then once we get to next week, the models are going absolutely insane on Friday and through the weekend of next weekend, with the GFS model showing extremely Arctic air that is going to roll through the central and eastern U.S., and it's never going to end. It's going to be like constant. We may see an occasional warm air, but the GFS is going wild, showing constant frigid air, which is like the theme we've been having so far for the start of the winter. Constant frigid air here going into the week, next weekend, into 2 weeks from now, where it's going to be absolutely freezing. Now, take this with a grain of salt, as it's still a little far out, but this model showing temperatures feels like temperatures in the negatives on Saturday of next weekend. So that could be absolutely freezing. We'll definitely get more information on this in the future, but all we know is the models are showing it's going to get pretty dang cold, and the European model's showing it too, with some definite Arctic air, not as significant as the GFS, but it's showing some definite Arctic air that's going to occur across much of the central and eastern U.S. And then those more above average temperatures are really going to dominate much of the western U.S. for a long time. We're going to really see that western ridge battle in is going to bring those way more above average temperatures across the west coast of the U.S. But overall, it is going to be freezing in the eastern U.S. with much below average temperatures. Overall, we're going to see much below average temperatures for a long time across the eastern U.S. over the next 2 weeks or so, and it's never going to end. There's not a sign of more above average temperatures in the future across the eastern and central U.S. It's going to really feel like winter there. We really don't know much on the snowfall. It's not going to be too much of a favorable snowfall pattern, but we could see some snowstorms in the future in the next few weeks or so, but it's too hard to tell. We will see a few of those clipper systems roll through parts of the northern U.S. and northern tier of the U.S., but they will be small and will only impact certain areas that are pretty confined together. So not a huge snowstorm or anything, but definitely could drop some snowfall totals. But then the west coast of the U.S., sorry, but it's going to be so warm and much above average temperatures in the west coast of the U.S., so no chances of more winter feels. Maybe you like the warm more, so who knows. All right, have a great day, everybody.